What are near-death experiences? Are they glimpses into the afterlife, or are they hallucinations created by the mind?
Is this the end or the beginning?
I'm Dr. Sharma, physician, board-certified psychiatrist, and Air Force veteran. Near-death experiences, or NDEs, have been studied for decades in peer-reviewed scientific literature. This research and the concept of NDEs is important to discuss in veterans' mental health, especially since spirituality is a big part of mental health in general. And let me tell you right now, the scientific evidence I'll be talking about in this video is gonna blow your mind. It is proof that our consciousness exists outside of our body. And even if you're not religious or spiritual, this is still fascinating, it's thought-provoking, and it can tell you about where consciousness really exists. One quick note, I need your help with this video. Since I'll be using the word death a lot, the algorithm is going to try to push this down, so please like, comment, and share widely if you enjoy the video. There was an article by Dr. Jeffrey Long in 2014 that did a fantastic job of going into the research and NDE experiences. At this point, there are tons of studies online, as well as entire initiatives dedicated to studying this phenomenon. Dr. Long looked at experiences of people who were unconscious, near death, and may have required resuscitation. As any good study has, this one also had requirements. The experiences had to be reasonably lucid and vivid, so no fragmented or disorganized memories, no bizarre hallucinations, or those types of experiences which can happen in the near-death phase. He defined it by saying that NDEs occur at a time when the person is so physically compromised that they are unconscious, comatose, or clinically dead. This also involved people who were in cardiac arrest. Now, keep in mind, in these cases, the 10 or 20 seconds after the cardiac arrest, there is often no measurable brain cortical electrical activity. So, a prolonged, detailed, lucid experience shouldn't be possible, but it happens. One of the most fascinating parts of NDEs is the out-of-body experiences that people have. Almost half of the people in the study database reported seeing events in the world from outside of their own bodies, sometimes hovering over their bodies. A lot of these folks were extremely accurate in describing the details of their own resuscitation. So, this patient is literally having a heart attack. There is no brain activity that can be measured. CPR is being done, chest compressions, medications are being given through IV, yet they're able to describe these events in great detail without ever being told about what happened ahead of time. How is this possible? Purely from a physiological or brain function perspective as a psychiatrist, I have no idea how to explain it, but we might have to think outside of the box. Now, if that wasn't enough, there have been NDEs in individuals who were blind from birth. So they've literally never seen the world through their eyes before. There were case reports of 9 blind patients who described their NDEs vividly. For instance, a young girl named Marta, who was blind from birth, she nearly drowned in a lake. She later said, "I became unconscious. A beautiful lady dressed in bright white light pulled me out. The lady looked into my eyes and asked me what I wanted. I was unable to think of anything until it occurred to me to travel around the lake. As I did, I saw details of the area around the lake. I could go anywhere, even to the tops of trees, simply by my intending to go there. I was legally blind, but for the first time, I was able to see leaves on trees, birds' feathers, birds' eyes, telephone poles, what was in people's backyards." Again, guys, I can't explain this from the current paradigm of thinking without considering that consciousness exists outside of the body. These people who were blind from birth, and yet they had these completely lucid and vivid experiences. It's amazing. Moving on to the other people in the studies, many people who have NDEs actually describe seeing colors more vivid than anything they've experienced before. This sounds great to me as someone who's partially colorblind. Some people describe having 360-degree vision, which I can't even begin to comprehend, but it's fascinating. Another common experience is those who have NDEs, they also experience something called a life review, basically a replaying of life events from a third-person perspective. During this experience, people described seeing events in their life happening as if it was a movie, but it's actually much deeper than that. from the time they were a baby into their adulthood and recent memories. The amazing thing about this life review is that they were able to not only see the events that happened in their life, but they could sense and feel the emotions of those around them. They could feel both the positive and negative emotions of people they interacted with. It's interesting because this means that the life review is also a set of lessons for the person experiencing it. If they made a lot of people happy in their life, they would experience a lot of positive emotions. If they made a lot of people suffer in their life, they would experience those as well. It's almost like the concept of heaven and hell encapsulated in one experience. So you can imagine all the cruel people we think about in the world, they're going to have a pretty tough time during the life review. Another common experience in NDEs is seeing deceased loved ones. Now, I know this one is expected. A lot of people have this, but people even saw family members who had died before they were born. Now, in some cases, and this happened because some of these studies are a little bit older, it's not like today where we have photos of everyone since the beginning of their life. The experiencer saw family members who had never had photos of themselves taken. So this wasn't someone in recent memory or even someone they had seen before in their lives. Young children also have NDEs. This is important because it's less likely that children will have a vision that's formed by strong expectations or opinions. Usually kids don't have as firm religious beliefs or even conceptualizations of what happens after death or even what death is in itself. And their experiences are really similar to that of older kids and adults. The NDE database has had their questionnaire translated into 23 different languages with over 500 NDEs from non-English languages all over the world. And the themes of these NDEs are very similar, regardless of religious or cultural beliefs. There are also atheists who have had NDEs. So again, it's not about having pre-existing beliefs that create or shape the experience. Interestingly, 54% of NDE experiencers said that large changes happened in their lives after the experience. They had reduced fear of death, increased belief in life after death, more interest in the meaning of life, acceptance of others, being more empathic towards others. I can imagine the life review really increases empathy since you feel what other people feel. So this experience that might last a few minutes, the NDE itself, causes changes that last for years and the rest of these people's lives. This reminds me a little bit of the research that's been done on psychedelics, where one treatment session can last for 6 months or a year or even longer when it comes to relieving mood symptoms or making changes in the person's life. Now, as a psychiatrist, of course, I've interviewed patients who have had hallucinations during life-threatening situations, right, in the hospital. So if someone is admitted to a place like the ICU, it's a very confusing place, right? If you're there, you're not doing well, usually, and you're in a state where you're more prone to something called delirium. And delirium can lead to seeing hallucinations in the environment, strange and bizarre dreams, and other strange experiences. People can even develop PTSD after being in the ICU because of these experiences. But NDEs are vastly different. Most of them are calming experiences that tend to center people more and create positive changes in the person's life, which is odd from a physiological perspective, right? You're in this life-threatening situation that's traumatic. Your fight or flight center, the amygdala, is on edge, adrenaline is pumping. It's kind of strange that someone would have a calming and positive experience. So what do we make of all of this? Like I was saying before, from the current paradigm of thinking, which is materialism-based science, it is very difficult to explain this. Because in the current paradigm, the thinking is that the brain comes first and creates the consciousness. It's not that consciousness exists by itself or comes first. So we might have to think outside the box or outside our bodies with these experiences where we have proof, definitive proof that people's consciousness is able to exist outside their bodies and even travel outside their bodies. We have to accustom ourselves to this reality, which again is a huge shift from the current paradigm. But this is what science is. Science changes over time based on new discoveries. And if we can't explain these experiences using current concepts, we might have to think about some new ones. Now, to play devil's advocate, some people say that these NDEs are defense mechanisms created by the mind during an already stressful time of being near death. It's a kind of coping mechanism created by the brain to help the person get through without feeling traumatized. The theory is a good one, it's possible, but it still doesn't explain the lack of brain activity during these experiences or how these individuals are able to explain and even narrate events going on outside their bodies. There have also been numerous scientists and physicians who have had NDEs themselves and went on to write about them. Take, for example, Dr. Eben Alexander, highly trained academic neurosurgeon with tons of experience, who had his own NDE and wrote a book called Proof of Heaven. It's a fascinating read, and he really looks at the phenomenon from both a scientific and spiritual perspective. Now, if you're wondering what I think, of course, I could be wrong, and I suppose we'll never really know until each of us is at that point. But I do think it is proof both that consciousness exists outside of the body, that indeed consciousness comes first, and our body is just a vehicle. And I do believe it is proof of the afterlife, but that's my own belief grounded in my own spirituality. Let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comments. As always, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of these NDEs? Do you think they're actual glimpses into the afterlife? Or do you think that the mind creates these experiences as a defense mechanism? Or maybe you have a different theory. Let me know below. If you enjoyed this video, you might like the episode I did on how psychedelic therapy can be helpful for veterans struggling with mental health conditions. Click over here to check it out. Also, click over here to subscribe if you haven't already done so. As always, thanks for watching. Dr. Sharma signing off. See you next time.